Yo, 300 hours is a lot of Guild Wars. Thank you, developers, for the new modes. My name is Eagle, and sometimes I stream Guild Wars on Twitch, so special thank you to all those who have joined us on this journey. Recently, I've been playing a lot of Melandru's Accord plus Dhuum's Covenant modes on a perma-death character. You die, you delete. I've only had to delete one time so far. This isn't a guide or an efficient route or anything like that. This is just a story of me playing Guild Wars, not worrying about anything else but reaching the next skill trainer. So let's talk about the challenge modes. Dhuum's Covenant is a high-risk, prestige-based challenge mode introduced as part of the December 18th, 2025 update. This mode focuses on survival, tasking players with completing the game without dying. Characters created with Dhuum's Covenant may continue to be played after death, but failing the Covenant will result in participation being removed. New characters can opt into Dhuum's Covenant during character creation. Additionally, at a Shrine of Godly Accrements, existing characters can opt out or, provided they haven't died yet, into it. So any of you out there with survivors that have never died yet can now grab the badge. Essentially, Dhuum's Covenant is how the original Survivor title worked back in the day, but we found it could be pretty easily cheesed by accessing your account storage. I was able to reach level 20 in under 3 hours, and better players could do it in less time. Melandru's Accord is a challenge mode similar to community-created Iron Man modes that was added in the January 28th, 2026 game update. This mode forces the player to be completely self-sufficient, being restricted from account-wide unlocks, trading, traders, and other ways of transferring items. Setting up your heroes with skills is a massive challenge in this mode. You can only give them skills that you have unlocked through the trader, so your secondary profession matters greatly at the start of the game. Many heroes are worse than henchies to begin with based on their available skills. New characters can opt into Melandru's Accord during character creation. Melandru's Accord can be permanently removed at a Shrine of Godly Accrements. You can't join Melandru's Accord with an established character, so no cheese here. Combining these modes together gives you a very fun experience. We've been calling it MADC, and a few of the community members are playing permadeath. Highly recommend it. Give it a try if you have not already got one of each profession. I'm not sure this is how I would recommend your first playthrough on any profession. So let's talk a little bit about my experience in these 300 hours on my character, Voice of Eagle. Since the modes are still in beta and the risks are high, I decided to play what I was most comfortable with, a dervish. My first dervish cruise through the start of Nightfall, no problem, but due to an iron shortage in Istan, I never purchased max armor. I became carelessly reliant on my dervish's enchantments to keep me alive. And one bad accidental pull, followed by a patrol entering the fray in Conador Crossroads, and it was all over. All my pretty enchantments were gone in a blink of an eye. For the second character, I vowed to be more careful. This time, I would proceed with caution when leaving Istan. I had already learned some things from my first run, so I started by choosing Ranger Secondary for the Sun Spear skill, Never Rampage Alone. It says for 18 to 25 seconds, you and your pet attack 25% faster and have plus 1 to 3 health regeneration. I felt like the dervish attack speed was lacking to begin with, and I liked how this skill was tied to the Sun Spear rank, thus not requiring attribute commitment. Pet for a damage sponge, meat shield also seemed helpful. I used this combination to make it safely through Istan main and secondary quests until I reached level 10. I grabbed Mox right away, and I stole his perfect Q9 scythe. Thanks, buddy. At which point, I did the age-old veteran's rite of passage and journeyed to Eye of the North for some additional heroes and Kilroy's Punch-Out tournament in Gunner's Hold. Since my hero's available skill pool weren't too good at this point, I used the henchies to carefully fight my way up to Gunners. Vec, Ogden, and Gwen joined the team along the way. Once we made it to the main Norn settlement, it was time to begin our dwarven boxing career. Kilroy Stonekin has been a safe method of achieving Survivor in the game for many years. He offers you a repeatable solo dungeon that plays by some different rules. Essentially, you equip a set of brass knuckles and proceed to punch and kick your way through the dungeon with Kilroy. But reaching 0 health does not kill you. Instead, you are knocked down, and to get back up, you must spam skill 8. Each time you use Get Up, you gain 1 energy, and each time you get knocked down, the total number of energy you need is increased by 5. This means you can be knocked down a few times and still safely proceed through the dungeon. Once you have completed the dungeon the first time, Kilroy will offer you another quest, the Throwdown in Norntown. You want to complete this one too for the rewarded Thunderfist Brass Knuckles. These are a set of perfect Rec 9 gold daggers that you can use for all your punching needs. It's a good idea to grab these as soon as possible so you can start looking for weapon mods and inscriptions to help you in repeating Kilroy's Punch-Out Extravaganza dungeon. Since it's a solo dungeon, you get a lot of experience per minute even without scrolls. And if you do this while the gods have blessed the world with favor, you will get a decent amount of drops. The dwarves drop a lot of armor and weapons that's great to salvage for iron and steel. Additionally, some good runes and insignias since it's in Eye of the North drop tables. I got lucky and got a few prodigies for Gwen early, but more importantly, I now have a good source of safe experience points and material drops. I punched dwarves until level 20 and a little bit beyond to get materials for max armor. To get armor earlier than Consulate Dogs, I picked up a max set in Boreal Station, which is the first outpost in Eye of the North. A neat little trick for all characters who journey to the north early. Now at max level and with max armor and a Mountain Eagle, I returned to Istan to finish my journey and make it to the mainland. Ascending in Guild Wars lets you switch your secondary profession at will, and it comes early in Nightfall. After an extended northern journey, I was in a real hurry to get it over with, and I blasted through to the command post. Things really open up after Ascension, and you can pick a lot of different secondaries. I picked up a few different secondaries. I bought some skills for the team, and I was able to cap a couple of elites while we were in the area, but the team still felt pretty weak. I thought this was a good sign to leave Istan and head over to Lion's Arch and try my luck in Kryta, since there were some skills and prophecies I wanted. Once getting to Lion's Arch, I did the cheesy thing and skipped everything straight to Sanctum K. I'm a Metroidvania player, so the idea of sequence breaking and returning later to content went stronger vibes with me. I felt like the right thing to do was Ascension and Prophecies next to level up my heroes. Since we had just finished this in Nightfall, it felt relatively similar in difficulty. I skipped the unsafe bonuses, capped a newly buffed Mark of Protection and some other elites along the way to duel my doppelganger. I'd already been to Eye of the North and ascended, so beating my clone was easy. But we had a few close calls getting there. We elected to leave Glint B with her eggs for the time being and journeyed all over to one of my favorite outposts in Guild Wars, Draknar's Forge. The Drox run is my favorite Guild Wars activity, so I'll always love the Forge. The original plan would have me head over to factions from here and start the path of Ascension there. But the allure of some more skills in Grotto and Ember Light Camp got to me instead, and I carefully fought my way through to the Southern Shiver Peaks missions, made my way to Iron Mines of Muldoon, did that mission twice for the infusion on my headpieces, because we start to see Mersat in this area of prophecies, and their spectral agony is almost guaranteed a death without infused armor. By the time we reached Ember Light Camp, the team was all level 20 with a decent amount of elites and quality skills. But a lot of the team damage was fire based at this point, and I knew that wouldn't work well here. It was time to leave prophecies for factions. I had some fear about starting factions since some of my friends had already had trouble with it, and I know the campaign goes fast. The Nifui quarter pushed the team pretty hard, and I was starting to fear that we weren't ready for factions yet. Then Tanaki Temple was also really spooky, and it seemed like our fears were being confirmed for the worse. It got a little bit better around Matu Keep, so I decided to stay longer. I just desperately wanted soul twisting on a ritualist to join the team, and this ended up being a massive detour. We headed back to Gunners to get Xandra, the ritualist hero, and after many rounds of the extortionist Norn fighting tournament, we finally defeated Xandra. However, adding the ritualist hero to the team was just the first step. I didn't want to go further into factions to get soul twisting, so I decided I would just do Sunjang District until the right boss showed up. The wiki even tells you that gapping elites in Sunjang District is a bad idea. Trust the wiki, it is a bad idea. I had to do Sunjang mission 12 times in a row to finally get the Ritualist Construct boss to spawn, meaning I've now done it 13 times total. The boss only spawns at the end of the mission, so you're basically stuck completing the whole thing. I swear the game knows when I have a cap signet equipped and just trolls me for it. A few hours later, we had a full ST bar on Xandra, and I figured I had now completed my side quest Ascension in all 3 games. It was time to return back to Nightfall. Back in Kurna with a much stronger team, we breezed up to Vabi, taking the Master of Whispers route. We capped Blood is Power in Connor Crossroads, set up the BIP Resto right away, and the back line for the team was already set. It was a pretty big moment getting through the Crossroads again, as that was where I died the last time. It wasn't actually too hard this time, but I still had my fears. The only scary parts around Vabi were near the Roaring Ethers, so I avoided them. They hit hard and have a res signet. Didn't want to deal with that. Since I had already invested in skills and XP for my heroes, it wasn't too much of a big deal to include whoever was required on the team in the missions. And I kept going right through to the Sulphurous Waste to the Ruins of Mora. The Worm section is definitely never my favorite to play through, but it's pretty safe. Did have to grind some platinum at Ruins of Mora to better equip General Morgan for the confrontation with Varish. At 1 platinum apiece, this felt like it took forever to fight Varish, but we got into the Realm of Torment. This was a big win. A lot of dervish skills open up here. Almost everything I wanted to run was now available to me. I figured this was now probably equal progression to the Fire Islands in Prophecies and returned to factions and went through the Kurzik story to Raizu Palace. This was pretty chill in the Echo Vault Forest with an ST and BIP Resto backline. Kunavang didn't provide much difficulty, and we entered the Palace District in Kaining. We were now on the last 3 missions of Prophecies, Factions, and Nightfall, so I decided to push into Eye of the North expansion. I have completed Eye of the North many times. It is by far my most comfortable content. We had a great time doing Vanguard, then the Norn, then Azuran quests, continued through to the Central Transfer Chamber, but left the Great Destroyer to live for another day. Instead, I went and finished the last few missions in Prophecies, Factions, and Nightfall to prepare for the big boss run. It was finally time to finish something. Ironically, the team had already killed the Lich and Shiro in the Gate of Madness with some cheese by luring them out one at a time. The Lich went down in Prophecies pretty easy, but Shiro was much scarier. It was a bit of a close one to get past him. Abaddon in Nightfall was pretty straightforward. Most players will tell you Gate of Madness is probably more challenging. Like Shiro, the Great Destroyer turned out to be spooky, but it was a much faster fight. Pain Inverter did a lot of work here. After the boss run was complete, I wasn't entirely sure what to do. I really wasn't confident we would be getting to this point, and I knew hard mode wasn't an option yet. The heroes needed gear, but after all the Kilroy's punch out, I was feeling done with the dwarves. But then I was made aware of another place to bloody my knuckles in Tyria, with better, more exciting drops. I started the Winds of Change to get to the quest Canthan Courier Crisis. This quest is much the same as Kilroy's punch out, but not as easily repeatable. You have to abandon the quest and take it again to repeat. But I found the drops to be much better, and we netted a few good superiors here. This gave me the money to finish off the 40/40 sets for most of the primary heroes too. Today my team is looking pretty solid. I've been doing some speed booking in Nye the North and getting the reputation titles all above 5. Started doing daily Zaishin activities, and we're about ready to push into some of the hard mode missions. I think we'll go back and do all the bonuses we've missed and any missions we missed before we start hard mode in True. Just recently, in the February 26th, 2026 update, the Shrine of Godly Accrements was added, letting my MADC Dervish join the ranks of Reforged mode. I joined immediately for the cheaper skills. Buildcraft is peak Guild Wars play, and more skills means more builds. I'm getting close to 2 million experience now and looking forward to some future goals. I don't have elite armor yet, so my fashion wars needs work, but I think my loftiest goal for this character will be legendary skill hunter, thanks to the Reforged mode pricing. I just enjoy the journey on that one. If you've made it this far, thank you for sticking around in my first long form video. More to come as we learn. Hope you enjoyed the story, and join us on Twitch sometime where we stream most of it. Finally, huge thank you to the Guild Wars development team for letting us all be the beta testers and giving me 300 hours of new and exciting playtime. Good vibes.